What a fantastic 3 days it has been. I feel a little bit like a CNN poll analyst. As of the last count, it was great to see over 2,000 attendees from across the world, 1,100 organizations, literally 76 speakers. And these are globally preeminent speakers from different organizations, 57 sessions, and organizations ranging from regulatory bodies to industry associations, banks, of course, central banks, advisory firms, healthcare companies, many other energy and utility companies as well join our sessions, both as speakers and as participants. So what a great 3 days, in terms of topics that have been covered, in terms of intelligence that we have gathered as an organization and as a GRC community. So with this, I'm joined by Bruce Dahlgren, our CEO. And what we will do over the next few minutes is just take out a few snippets from what has happened over the last 3 days at the summit, with key insights that has come in from our participants and our speakers and panelists. And then I'll have Bruce essentially summarize his thoughts as the Chief Executive Officer of MetricStream. So with this, let me cover. Bruce, any quick thoughts before we move to the insights from the summit?
Well, I know a lot's been accomplished. I've certainly benefited from listening to all of this. And yeah, it's just been very rewarding. We appreciate everyone's participation.
So let me start off with a few really top 15 insights that we got from the panels and from the summits. So the first one, if you see, we clearly had topics on people essentially, and here you see Paola talk about people first, and this is not just for the pandemic, but overall as a risk function, how the focus on people is extremely key. We had Jane from Eli Lilly talk about people again being the strongest and the weakest link in the organization. We had Eileen, who spoke about the transitions, how operational resilience has become even more critical during the pandemic and post-pandemic as well. We also had Klaus, who's the Chief Ethics and Risk Officer for Novartis, talk about how data is extremely critical, but also making sure that it's unbiased data and ethical data is extremely critical as well. We had Alessandro, Chief Risk Officer of the Prisman Group, talk about how ESG again was a key theme at the summit this time. And he talked about how utilizing big data for ESG is going to be extremely important to both predict, but also have acceptable predictions and the right risk appetites for that. We had Heidi, one of our eminent customers from Zurich Insurance, who actually brought out a very important conversation on how top-down support of the organization, including the CEO, is extremely important in creating a strong commitment towards enterprise risk management and GRC. We had Nico from Capricorn Group in Africa, who spoke about a very similar topic on how it's extremely important that governance programs need to be tied to strategic objectives to have a real impact, otherwise it doesn't work. We had Jean, who was actually part of a couple of panels at our summit this time, who talked about how it's extremely important that as a central bank CISO, the organizations look at cybersecurity from both a tactical but the strategic point of view, and honored MetricStream in our implementation that we have done at the Central Bank of Luxembourg. Juan, who's a very eminent chief auditor for the Santander Group, he actually focused on a very important topic of how GRC has to be done by design, and how organizations now, especially financial services organizations, are embedding GRC in their product design itself or their program design. Very insightful from Juan. We had Siddharth, who's one of the key analysts at Chartis Research, one of the preeminent firms out of UK. He talked about interconnectedness, both in terms of systems, technology, but also at a human level individually to manage risk better. We had again Edgar from the Central Bank of Luxembourg, who talked about very importantly about the first line of defense, the first line adoption being a key value driver in success of GRC programs. We had Gavin, who runs the cybersecurity program at Verizon, talk about how critical it is to improve the narrative of CISOs by quantifying risk in the cyber world. And he mentioned about quantifying something is better than quantifying nothing. Tammy, who's the Chief Data Privacy Officer of the World Bank, spoke about the importance of transparency and control in the world of Facebook and Google and all the data that is being collected. Very importantly, mentioned that transparency and control is going to be key in this world of trading personal data for better service. And the last couple of them, Ramesh Raskar, who's the associate professor at the MIT labs and involved with a number of initiatives globally around the pandemic, around also the contact tracing, etc., talked about how the force of notion of compliance, governance, machine learning has all come together and colliding, and the ability to harness this well. And finally, Michael Rasmussen, who is the founder and one of the fathers of GRC, he talked about the new age technology in GRC and risk management, has to be intuitive, flexible, agile for organizations to manage both the back office, but also the first line, which is the front office. So extremely good insights from a cross section of backgrounds, people, organizations, and locations globally. And with this, I'm going to actually talk about what Bruce says here, our CEO. He has definitely, in his tenure with MetricStream so far, coming with a lot of experience. Bruce has, done a fabulous job in the initial months to help us all weather the storm, keeping the first wave, intact by weathering the storm, taking care of the people, our employees, our infrastructure, etc. And he's going to talk a little bit about how the second wave is going to be about disruption, and really accelerating the company and both leveraging what has happened, learning from the market, and taking advantage of the growth in the risk management space and the GRC space here. Over to you, Bruce.
All right. Thanks, Gaurav. What great quotes. I feel fortunate to be included with these insightful leaders when you list out the quotes. So thank you, Gaurav. And wow, we've accomplished so much in these 3 days. I know, as I mentioned, I've learned a lot just in participating and listening. The time has gone by so quickly. If you could show my slide, I thought maybe I would summarize just as I started. And this is an opportunity for all of us to weather the storm and accelerate out of this pandemic. And for us at MetricStream, the key thing for us is we want to leverage this rich heritage that we have, being the leaders of this legacy in GRC. But we want to reimagine our business and our execution. We don't want to just continue, we want to improve. We want to constantly and reimagine the business. And we're doing that in these 3 simple pillars. And we've talked a lot about these aspects over these 3 days. The first is the market presence, reimagining our go-to-market and marketing efforts, an opportunity for us to interact with the market in new and improved ways. We want to reimagine the innovation pillar. This is the core to MetricStream, our business. How can we improve our time to value and continue to bring new innovation and capabilities to the market and to our customers and partners? And then finally, the third pillar, we want to reimagine our customer engagement. We've talked a lot about frontline access, proactive ways of identifying risk. How can we improve the user experience and the adoption as we engage with our customers? So these 3 pillars all manifesting into our customer lifecycle, our ability to bring all of this to you and to continue to help. And ultimately, our goal is to accelerate sustainable growth with risk-aware decisions, all built on one integrated risk platform, intelligent by design. So I'm confident that over these 3 days, you've heard from great people, great ideas. Hopefully, you've also had an opportunity to see just how we're reimagining MetricStream as well. Let me conclude by saying thank you to our sponsors, our panelists, our speakers. Great job. Just terrific. I also want to express appreciation to all of our customers and our partners. We are not confused. Without you, we wouldn't be here. We appreciate your support, and I want you to know we work every day to exceed your expectations and help you on this GRC journey. And for those that joined thinking about being a MetricStream customer, I'm hopeful that you saw a lot these few days to encourage you to be a part of this great family of customers here at MetricStream. So thanks again. Great job, team. Hope to see all of you soon. And this concludes our GRC Summit. Thank you.